Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchist Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchist Ted.
And I was like, hey, I think I'm supposed to be doing a thing right about now. Time to click the button.
Yeah, I'm saying live in a few minutes.
Yeah, a few minutes or now, as the case may be. How you doing tonight, sir?
Well, I just went for a stress reliever walk in the woods as the family and I, did some geocaching. Because we had some very bad news at the dentist today. So, yeah, not happy for the whole family.
But on the good news is, my understanding is now you have the ingredients to build your very own plaque golem.
Oh, there could be that. I think it's tartar though, as it's in the gums, not in the teeth themselves.
Oh.
And the sad truth of the matter is, when your dentist retires, apparently that makes it safe from prosecution. So yeah, that was loads of fun to find out that he'd basically been getting the better of me all these years.
Maybe, or maybe he just wasn't good at it.
Yeah, well, there's that possibility too. But I believe we're supposed to be talking about tools, and I don't think dentist tools are one of the options.
Medicine, I think it falls under medicine, and I think this falls right in line with tonight's discussion of tools. Matter of fact, who wants a shady dentist NPC introduced into their campaign now? I know I do. He could be shady, he could be incompetent. Well, there's a lot of different ways we could go with this.
I see some things brewing.
For sure. Speaking of tools, we're kind of playing with that a little bit in next month's rewards. So if you're interested in seeing some new, not necessarily tools, but game sets, which is kind of the same thing, Ted came up with a bunch of them, like 50 or something.
It's not quite that much, but Dave and I both came up with some interesting games. There's some alternate skill use stuff in there. There's some mentions about a variety of different tools. So I think there's a lot of fun stuff that we've packed into next month's Patreon rewards. So if you want to get in on those, I think it's the $2 level. Gets you access to the month's rewards.
Yes, absolutely. They're saying you're too loud, and you also sound kind of low to me as well.
I'm too low or too loud?
No, the other way around. Too low.
Okay. I can talk louder if you really need to.
Speak up. Let's see. I think I got you cranked pretty high here. And they also say either I'm too loud or you're too low, but
oh, maybe they just want me to sit up more. Is that
maybe you're right. Derek said I had a shady barber in a game recently. Nice. But yeah,
no. That actually says a shady barber. So I don't know.
I don't know. I read it as shady for some reason. The question is, did he suck or was he dishonest? Who knows? Maybe both.
So
there's, I feel like tools get a bit underused in in D&D in general. And my brother is saying that I'm disproportionately loud compared to you, which sounds about right.
Isn't that normally the way it is, though?
Everyone in my house says the same. You're loud.
So there's a variety of different ways to get tool usage. It's smattered throughout the different classes. But I think it honestly takes a combination of a player's interest and the DM putting out scenarios or rules that are there, because the tools as they're described, they don't ever really get into a depth about what's there. It really is a spur of the moment. Well, how are you using that tool, and what stat does it apply for?
Well, that yes and no, right? In the core books, yes. Xanathar's Guide added a ton of information about tools and using tools, and also associated skills, and the idea that, hey, you have calligraphy and arcana. Well, if you're looking at magical runes, maybe the player should get advantage to looking at it, or the same thing for alchemist supplies and potions and things of that nature. It also brings up really good things like why not use if you have masonry tools and there's a stone wall, substituting that check for a perception check.
You know, that's those are all great things, but if DMs aren't reading Xanathar's guide, or if they're not really, the players aren't asking, then those things could very well be missed and lost. I know in the knowledge cleric, he can use his channel divinity to gain a tool use for like 10 minutes. That's never come up in your entire game throughout. And I've got a variety of different skills.
That's not true. I feel like when you guys were in the ancient Dragonborn city, I don't remember what you did, but I remember using that ability.
Oh, really? Okay, well,
so
then
in 19 levels, well, I guess 19 levels, you've used it at least once.
Okay, all right. Then I will retract my statement. Apparently don't remember that one because it was so long ago.
Alan was still in the group.
Well,
and we also took like a year hiatus, so there's that.
6 months, ish. In
D&D time, that's forever. That's a whole age. But yeah, you're right. Like you need two things to happen. One, you need the DM to be like, all right, you can do the thing. But you also need players to go, hey, I have this skill, I have this proficiency. Can I try and do X? And then you need the DM to agree with it or make something cool happen.
So I think that there are some tools that, given the right player or given, the right circumstances, like certain things are going to come up more often. Having a DM who's going to allow downtime tools, I think, are going to come up, more often as you go to try and make something or create something or modify something even. Like I know in my game, you did quite a bit of smithing, and we did all kinds of stuff with that. And in
well, also in your game too, Ryan used his tailoring a lot too.
And he had that as his job. I mean, when he wasn't adventuring, he was a tailor.
He wasn't as good as that pixie, but he was all right.
Well, when he says he could literally weave magic into his garments, that tended to tick him off a bit. I wanted to put in a foil, and I thought that would be kind of cool, and give Ryan some incentive to show that was still there, still an option.
To be a better tailor.
Yeah.
He just wasn't trying hard enough. He wasn't role playing that tailor hard enough. I mean, he sews anyway. He should have came to the table with his gear, been like, "I'll show you. I'm gonna role play this tailoring so hard. You've never seen tailoring like this before." I think that's crocheting what you were doing, or knitting.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how to sew by hand, so I need a machine.
Well, the machine wouldn't that be like this? It's just like you're feeding it through.
I can only do seams and what have you. I've never done a whole lot with it.
I would just end up sewing myself to whatever it was I was sewing.
Well, my wife did say this evening that of everything that she sewn, she has bled for. So
nice. I think Ryan actually hand sews for his puppets.
Yeah, I think that's how he makes all
puppets, voodoo dolls. I don't know, whatever it is he does.
Art dolls, man, art dolls.
I don't believe
it right in the name. It says it right there. Dream Syndicate art dolls, Pixie.
I think you should change it and just be like voodoo. Switch to voodoo dolls. That's where it's at, man. That's where it's at. Voodoo dolls.
Well, you can't get into voodoo dolls without mentioning the witch doctor.
Mm-hmm. So, right. So, I don't know. Is there a tailor's kit? Did he have to? What is the skill for that?
I don't know, and I could look it up on D&D Beyond if I wanted to exit the chat.
Yeah. Well, don't do that. Don't do that. But now
I can't reach the computer though.
I can't reach it, man.
And my PHP is way over there. So
Well, so so that kind of has me kind of curious. Oh, I know where I can look. I have to look at probably equipment, right? Although the equipment doesn't have good filters on it. Not like some of the other. Oh wait a minute, maybe it does.
so
But it got me thinking. The voodoo dolls, right? Like that would be kind of cool. Like if something like that had ever been introduced into the game, like his character could understand stitching and making dolls and stuff like that and sewing. If you combine that with Arcana, then it could make for some interesting things during play.
yeah, I could imagine so. Like a puppet master situation.
Yeah, exactly like a puppet master situation.
So Kupak 6584 says, should I do a D&D old stories podcast or show?
Listen, move along. No. Here's the thing. Like, what I say to anyone that wants to do that, if you have it in you to do something like that, then do it. If you have any great expectations as to what it's going to be, that's a completely different matter, right? You do it because you enjoy doing it. But that being said, if you want to turn it into more, it is a lot of work, and you could spend years working on it before it ever bears any kind of fruit. But yes, absolutely. If you want to do it, do the thing. There's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there. But what there isn't is your voice. So if you feel like you have something to say about it, then absolutely. Oftentimes, like, other creators will be like, oh, I don't want to do this thing because so-and-so does it. Or, you guys do it. And I'm like, but they, people haven't heard your take on it. They haven't heard you talk about it. So, I feel like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if every content creator on YouTube has talked about beholders already, because you haven't talked about them. Like, you're going to have your own opinions, your own takes, your own, likes and dislikes. So I say go for it. Do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, get out there, have fun, and if you feel, hey, I can make something of this, great. If you try for a while, like many have done, and decide, hey, this is more work than I thought, or this isn't really working for me, take a break or stop. It's at your leisure. Have fun with it. AG Silver Radio says, I rolled up a Forge Cleric with the artisan background with the idea of being the party crafter, as well as having healing magic and being a secondary tank. Haven't played him yet. I think the Forge Cleric is amazing. And, it's a really powerful level 1 dip, even if you're, playing something else. But, first level, being able to say, like, every day, hey, I made a magic item that, stay used for just today, I think is really cool.
Yeah, I dig the Forge Cleric. I still haven't had a chance to play a Forge Cleric Dwarf yet. It's on the list somewheres for sure.
Well, I mushed that into my Barbarian Paladin just because I thought the Forge Cleric was so cool. And it fit with the story. So I was like, well, I planned on just being Barbarian and Paladin, but in between the two, he got a level of Cleric first.
Did you just do the 1 level dip?
Yes. He is currently a 5th level Barbarian, 1st level Cleric, 1st level Paladin, and all of the levels hereafter will be Paladin.
Okay.
But hey, I've met my god, and I've had a magic item crafted for my entire party, so it's pretty awesome.
Nice. Did you do the crafting, or you were there when it was crafted?
I did the crafting and then had a blessing bestowed upon them.
Okay.
It's really cool. I wasn't planning to have them really be anything. I just wanted them to be, hey, here's an item that has an attribute tying the 5 of us together, and when I brought them to be blessed, just be like, hey, we got 2 different gods here that are in this party. Can you do some magic-y stuff over, just to kind of give a thumbs up? They came back and Jake's like, oh yeah, they're a bracer that once a day, you can just, when you fail a wisdom saving throw, you can choose to pass instead. It's like, holy crap, that's awesome.
That is pretty awesome. And that's for your Dawnbringers game.
That is the Dawnbringers game. Yep.
So people can go check that out and actually witness the blessing. How many episodes are you guys into that?
So there were 12 episodes in season 1, which I wasn't a part of. I want to say there were over 20 episodes of season 2, and I think we're up to like season 7. Episode 7 of season 3. So that's going on almost 40, maybe over 40.
Oh, nice. So, back to tools, like one of the areas where I also see tools being super cool and useful is if you're using skill challenges in your games. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities there. There's a lot of tool skills that maybe can be incorporated in, depending on what exactly the challenge is. And like this is the area where I'm definitely for letting the players use kind of obscure and weird things as long as they can tell me and justify to me how they're going to do it and how they're going to make it work.
So I think skill challenges, and I want to wrap like puzzles, into that. I mean, we already know that traps for a lot, tend to traps and locks. They're using tools to do those, but I think puzzles could be something as well.
Physical puzzles, yeah.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, I recently planned a skill challenge, and I did have some ideas for some tools in it. But it might come up again, so I'm not going to get too deep into it during the next session.
Okay. Well, hopefully, Ryan won't be taking a rock and telekinesing, smashing everything.
What are the chances that would happen again?
Well, only screwed us over once.
Listen, he was just aggressively searching.
I'm gonna aggressively search this room with a rock and destroy any chances of you guys getting significant rewards. You're awesome, Ryan, and it could have definitely proved helpful, but in this case, it did not.
It was super helpful. To me. Well, it was kind of cool because, I got to explode the room on you guys.
You did.
So there's that. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? Some things, it just goes that way. I think...
So do we need to read the joke that's in the chat?
I don't know. I missed it, to be honest with you.
So AG Silver Radio says, what do you call a halfling diviner who broke out of jail? A small medium at large.
Oh, that one. I did see it. I instantly banished it.
I'm fond of that one because it's very D&D, so you can definitely use it.
It is D&D. It is punny. It is all of those things. In the chat, Doug has brought up a good point too. The idea is, if tools aren't getting used in your game as the GM, why not create opportunities to use them and make them one way that you can solve problems? I wouldn't make it the only way to solve a problem, but it is kind of cool and rewarding when your players have that ability. And then maybe if you, as the DM, put that in your game a little bit more, then your players will begin trying to use the tools that they have more often and engage the world.
I would agree. It's to me, I really do feel that there is some onus to be put on the DM's shoulder of, well, I'm the DM, I'm guiding the story that we're all telling. At the same time, I'm teaching you guys my style, or just teaching in general. When you're talking about newer players, so that you've got the ability to everyone lift up, as you game, as everyone gets more experience, as everyone, shares their own abilities and, likes and dislikes with the game. I know I, as a player, I'm always looking to, learn from what the DM is doing, and as a DM, learning what the players are, are doing and seeking, so that I might, oh well, how do I add that into the game, or how do I do what it is that they want.
So Doug just had to smite somebody in the chat. I think me and him smited at the same time.
Wow. Holy crap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 messages deleted.
Yeah, someone was being a butthead.
Well,
Thank you, Doug, for keeping an eye on that. What are you going to do, man? There's always a bad apple out there.
I mean, we usually don't have to deal with them too often, but when it happens, we've got smite power, so.
Yeah. So, what are some other ways, man? What about magic tools? You've done that, right? In your games.
Well, I mean, you can definitely go with, the alchemy stuff. So if you want to create potions, like there isn't anything for like arcanist tools, beyond, the implements that you use for spell casting. But I mean, you could definitely, do something with those. Maybe they're arcane implements that, they're ancient, and you have to try and figure out exactly what they do. Um, and maybe after enough study, maybe after enough use, you actually, can gain proficiency with something that existed in an age gone by. But I think you're referring to something that I'm not thinking about at the moment.
Didn't you give I thought you gave Ryan a magic needle.
Oh, you're talking about like not like um you're not talking about like a different tool set. You're talking about enchanted tool sets.
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe I have done stuff like that. I mean, anything that you work with. I mean, I don't see any reason why you can't have an enchanted lockpick, or an enchanted smithing hammer, or an enchanted sewing needle. I mean, those kinds of things would be equally cool. And it could be just as simple as, hey, you get a +1 on your checks, or hey, maybe this is like something super amazing, and what you make with it automatically does X, Y, or Z.
So Mike kind of brings up something it's a good point. Personally, as a 5e DM, I'm tired of everything, including tools, giving advantage. So, I mean, actually, Xanthos talks to this a little bit as well. And in my own games, I will kind of like do a graduated sliding scale for DC, depending on what skills and proficiencies a player has access to. But in Xanathars, it even talks about the idea that you give more information based on it. If if you have Arcana and say painting, for instance, or religion and painting, for instance, perhaps studying a particular painting, you don't get a bonus to make the check, but instead you just gain more information and more insight from the check that you do make. Right. Would be a way to go about it.
And that's definitely a fun thing to take into consideration. And for the DM, that does really require that, number one, you plan a little bit more ahead, or be a little bit quicker thinking, and know what things your characters have.
Yeah, I mean that gets a little difficult though when you have like 5-6 players at the table. You figure they all have, four to who knows how many proficiencies spread out amongst everything. That becomes a lot to track as the GM. That's why I think the onus is on the players to be like, hey, I have this thing I want to try, and this is what I'm going to use to do it. But the onus is on the DM to be like, to let players know somehow that that's viable, that they can do it. Or like if, for instance, you come across a cloak or a garment and they ask, hey, is anyone a weaver, or does anyone have tailor's tools or artisan tools or something of that nature, And once you do that, someone's going to speak up and go, "Oh, I have that," right? And then you can, oh well, you can make a check, and then you can just take it from there. But I feel like once you start the ball rolling, once players remember that they did a thing and it was cool, they're more likely to try more things and get more adventurous with it.
All right, so based on our earlier conversation about enchanted tool sets, trying to find here we go. Digital PH33R says, now I want to know what one could do with an enchanted poisoner's kit. So if you had somebody who was an assassin, and they got an enchanted poisoner's kit, what would it be?
So with that, there's one of a couple things. One is it could learn poisons. So you still have to find the poison or go out and make it. But once you expose your kit to it, it can just produce them and make them, reducing the time maybe, or maybe you just need to basically put the ingredients in and it just happens. Or maybe once per day, it can produce whatever poison you want, as an arcane or magical ability. You can use it as you normally would, but, you'd be like, oh, you know what, I need a poison right now. Well, once per long rest, you just command it, and boom, the vial fills up with the poison that you need, and you get to use it. That would be one way to go about it.
So my initial thought was, those are all cool and totally viable, but I wasn't thinking of the let's have it now factor. I was thinking okay, what about the more factor? So any poison it creates, it's that little bit better, so it does an extra d6 points of damage.
Oh, that's another way of going, extra damage. It could have a higher DC, more potent. So there is definitely a couple of cool ways to go with it.
So there you go, Digital. See if that helps you out a little bit. It's like that quick, 4 different ideas.
Yep. Do you want it to be stronger, harder to resist? Do you want it to kind of be like a catalog of poisons for you, so you always just are able to make them?
Or do you want them faster?
Or do you want them faster? Bam!
Or it's an artifact or legendary, and it can do all of them.
Oh, there's that. That might be a bit much.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's why I said, legendary or artifact.
I'm just thinking of the personality that would go along with it if it was sentient.
A sentient poisoner's kit.
Yeah.
Obviously, would have to hiss like a snake.
Of course. Well, maybe some kind, maybe that's imbued with the sentience of a serpent, but not a regular serpent. A serpent, of course, a epic or legendary serpent. A corrupted Kodal?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about as well. Yeah, I'm probably going to put that together now.
Let's see. Red says, I feel the whole dwarven mason tools and rock history thing doesn't get much love. I feel like I tried using that a lot. It's like, hey, I'm a dwarf. Do I know dwarf stuff about this stone?
Yes. I honestly...
and Ted's like, no, shut up. It's just rocks.
At times I have allowed that in there throughout the editions, but I do feel like the characters who are the players who really enjoy playing dwarves and get into the dwarven aspect, they're the ones who are willing to be that proactive player who will ask. They will be like, tell me about what is this? Do I know anything? And sometimes that has sparked my interest as a DM to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put something in here, and like, no, you've never seen this rock before, and like, what? So like, it's like you have no idea, and it baffles players who are experts at something when you tell them, no, you can't have a check, or no, you have no idea when they roll well, and I love doing stuff like that.
Well, I mean, you did give my dwarf a pet rock, so
I did.
not the bird kind either.
It was just a rock, and his name was Rune.
It was.
I'm
moving around. Which, I mean, that could be kind of a cool thing as well. Like, if you have, someone mentioned Tinker Tools, right? Like, why not, like, give someone an animate object kind of as a familiar, instead of your standard. It doesn't have to do anything crazy, but it could literally just be like whatever the wizard's into, right?
Mhm.
That happens to be some kind of artisan tool or whatever. It's as smart as any of the other familiars you would get, but you can use it as to do whatever you need to do. So, as the case may be.
Oh, so what tools will be needed to construct a clockwork prosthetic?
Tinker's tools. That would just be Tinker's tools.
I would agree. So they're questioning your pet rock. It was basically it was a familiar. It was kind of pseudo elemental. It legitimately was a rock that basically transformed or opened up into a humanoid little dwarf, but it totally condensed into a rock that he would keep in his pocket, and it had a sigil, an arcane sigil on it.
Well, oh man, well I remember. I think Ryan had the toys when he was a kid. So they're basically just Transformers, but they turn into rocks.
Yeah, I do remember them.
That's how I kind of envisioned him.
I do believe they were a line of GoBots.
A line of. I feel like it was something different, but I could be wrong. So I bet someone in the chat, like Doug, knows. Doug is full of useless knowledge.
Yeah, you know who could tell you? Ryan.
Maybe.
I'm fairly certain that he would be able to tell you all about them.
Well, he's in the chat. We'll see.
Brian Stillman?
Oh, Brian. I heard Ryan. Brian.
No. Brian Stillman. I think they would have been before Ryan's time, to some extent.
Really? I feel like I remember them because I feel like he had them. Now, I don't actually think they're retro enough for Brian Stillman. Like I feel like the toys that he collects are even like older than that.
I've seen some of his posts on Facebook and what have you, so I don't know. I could reach out to him afterwards and ask, but
yeah,
I would put a small amount of money that they were a line from GoBots. And
Doug is saying Rock Lords. A couple people are saying Rock Lords. That sounds about right. I feel like there was a movie. Like I feel like I saw a movie, and it was like kind of like a cool 3D movie, and animated. I don't know.
I just remember like the leader of the good guys was like a pale, gray blue. There was a gold thing. I know there was a red guy who was bad, which I thought was the coolest. I had a handful of them myself, obviously.
So Doug says Rock Lords is a spin-off toy line of the GoBots from Tonka in 1986 after the movie GoBots Battle of the Rock Lords. You're right. They're GoBots.
Bam!
And Ryan's like, I don't know anything about those, but there are robots that turned into rocks. This is the stupidest thing ever. What can you do? You can turn into a rock. I am the most technologically advanced thing you'll ever see. Well, what do? I turn into the most primitive thing you'll ever see.
But wait, coming out next fall, robots that turn into sticks.
Boom. There was actually a question in here from Miles. What kind of tools would a drow need? Slaves. I don't think drows actually do any menial tasks themselves. They just enslave others to do them for them.
Torturer's tools, poisoner kits. Those would be the top things on my
art. They would do things that they would consider art,
which falls into poisoner's kits and torturer tools.
Yeah, I feel like smithing and stuff like that, where they feel like they're creating something and they're better than.
Well, yeah, I think that would fall into the more artistic, the overarching, thing of elven tools. The things that are going to get into the beauty aspect of what all elves kind of view. So anything that creates.
Ryan is sharing fond memories from his childhood in the chat.
Oh, jeez. You're gonna throw them at your siblings.
You can throw them at your siblings. And he was the younger sibling, so more than likely. they were thrown at him. So Drow totally need candles. Yeah, but I don't see Drow making their own candles. Unless they're maybe artisanal candles. Artisanal. No, I don't think Archie, you're on. I think Drow probably enslaved Dugar to smith stuff. I don't, because Dugar make ugly stuff. It's like highly functional and does what it's supposed to do, and it's really sturdy and strong. But they don't love the craft as much as other dwarves. In your game, I had a lot of fun with that, playing with the smithing stuff and being able to make stuff, and being a wizard, you even let me craft some magic stuff later in the game.
Well, I feel that that should be an aspect when a player seeks it out. If you don't have a player having a desire, okay, great. Don't put it in the game. But when a player actively has an interest, now, no, I'm not going to let you create an Iron Man suit, but I am going to allow you to create things that are on par with the stuff that I would be giving out.
Do you have a favorite tool set that you've used since playing 5e?
I don't know. There is definitely an aspect of me that likes the dwarven crafts of stuff. I like the fact, my wife and I watched Forge and Fire. While I have not done enough to say that I know what I'm doing, but I have tried blacksmithing. So if I were forced to pick something, I would say smithing tools. I think it's the most useful of the tool sets in 5th edition.
I don't know if it's the most useful, but I do feel like it's fun. If especially if you're talking about playing.
I think it gets the most use then. I'll say that aspect.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends what kind of game you're playing too. I mean,
all right. So what do you say then?
So extensively, I've used smith tools. Because I played that character for 20 levels.
True.
So I don't. And I haven't played any character as much as that one. Worm, was an artificer, so he definitely had some, but there wasn't a lot of opportunities in that campaign to use those skill sets as much, and it was a lot shorter. And he was an arms dealer, so like that kind of entices me. Now I did create.
Well, now does that go back to the question about somebody needing prosthetics?
It's getting there, probably. Well, we did create some suicide bomber chickens.
Oh well, no, you said you were an arms dealer. So.
Oh God. Some days you're lucky we do this virtually.
The fact that you're not sitting at the table here next to me.
Yeah. So Worm jerry-rigged up a bunch of alchemist fire and explosives and attached it to chickens, and then we released the chickens into basically this courtyard where this official event was happening, and then we detonated the chickens.
Well, they're in descent into Avernus. At least the miniatures wise, there is an abyssal chicken. So I could totally see those things, being attached to explosives or being created to explode.
You know what? You're absolutely correct. There is an abyssal chicken, because I remember seeing the picture for it. Someone shared it, and I'm like, this is so cool. Now you need like Kentucky fried
abyssal chicken.
Kentucky fried abyssal chicken for sure.
Yeah. I sadly do not have an entire horde of abyssal chickens. I just have the one.
You need to clone them immediately. It's a CR quarter.
Yes, but there's nothing to say that you couldn't modify them so that they explode.
Oh my God, they have an ability called Bad Flyer. Bad flyer. The abyssal chicken falls at the end of its turn if it's airborne, and the only thing holding it aloft is its flying speed. So it's got a 30-foot fly, but if it doesn't land, it falls.
So Red Crusader says, Nerdarchy, tell me how to make the pie bombs off of SpongeBob and D&D. I don't watch SpongeBob, so I don't have any knowledge of pie bombs.
I do not remember pie bombs because my son used to watch SpongeBob. That he used to enjoy that quite a bit, but I don't remember.
Well, the wife had a severe restrictions about TV shows about sponges at Bikini Bottom, so that was not really allowed, and not really allowed to be watched in this house.
Killjoy. Every time the show would come on, my son was like 3. He would do the nose flute thing.
But I mean, like if you're talking about, creating an explosive, I could definitely see alchemy.
Yeah, this is going to require some cooking tools.
Yeah, cooking to make the pie, alchemy to make the explosive.
Yes.
And I'm, sorry, if you're making an explosive, you screw up, it explodes on you or next to you. At you.
So apparently in Descent into Avernus, there's flying daggers.
Score? Like as a monster?
Yes. Which that kind of annoys me a little bit because in I believe it's Backstabber is out of the box encounters where there's a swarm of flying daggers, and that gets into the weird area of SRD and what's not SRD. Even though we created that a while ago. Curse you! So yeah, you guys totally sidetracked me with Abyssal, or you sidetracked me with Abyssal chickens, because now I'm like, I don't know, I could do this live chat thing with you guys, or I could look through monsters on Baldur's Gate.
So Doug says to make the the exploding pie is cooking tools plus glyph of warding.
Doesn't work. You cannot move a glyph of something with glyph of warding on it. Now, if you leave the pie on the ledge, perfectly fine. If you move it more than, I believe, 10 feet, the glyph no longer works. Because you know why? Because back in, I don't know if it was 3rd edition or if it was back in 2nd and 1st, we used to take glyph of warding, and we would scribe it on hammerheads for the warhammer or throwing hammers. Are you laughing because you find that funny, or are you laughing because you remember that?
I remember that. Boom!
Yeah, and then so now all of a sudden you've got a warhammer that is like a mini fireball, essentially.
Oh, those were fun times. I think that might go all the way back to 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they did figure out, oh, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, especially when your DM starts using it on you. It's like, yeah.
Well, that is definitely one of the problems.
Somebody figured out your trick, dude.
I mean, we used to do crazy stuff. Also, we'd scribe them on coins and stuff, and instead of dropping cold drops, we'd drop coins with glyph of warding on them. It's also when you could also attach silence to an object.
Yeah, you drop it on a coin.
I think the favorite was arrow or a crossbow bolt, and then you just shoot the wizard with it. I'm going to need you to shut the F up right now. Thank you very much.
So we got a demonic Colonel Sanders in here from Crazy Hermit DM. But we also have toolset for bombs for my skeleton suicide bombers with the super chat from Digital PH33R.
Oh, thank you for the super chat. Ooh, I think that's in Canadian money. Canadian money is worth more than ours, I believe. Oh, cool. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of euros. But either way, it's appreciated.
Either way, thank you.
I think that's just alchemist supplies, pretty much. I mean, I might give you something with herbalist kit if you can convince me. You know, there's probably some other ones that I might allow as well.
I'd allow an herbalist kit, but it would probably have a higher DC than the alchemists. I mean,
Yes.
anything that's going to explode to me that says alchemy.
What about Tinker's tools?
I could allow that. You know, probably around the same.
Maybe less of an explosion, more of like, spring loaded something or other where it shoots shrapnel.
Yes, that would definitely fly in my book. Yeah, fly, spring loaded.
Red Crusader, I just got an idea for a magic item that could be a self-propelled rocket hammer. Yeah, they call it a dwarven thrower. Pretty sure. It rockets back to you. Oh, you want to ride the hammer into space. That's completely different.
Either that or, they're picking up a raccoon and using that as a hammer. Either one.
Well, I mean, you can totally Thor it, That's basically what his hammer does.
Yes.
You just throw it. So, yeah, you just attach a flash speed to it.
So
it's fairly easy to do.
Michael Schrader says, I'm thinking of introducing an item into my campaign that acts like a add energy type to your spell or craft a weapon with it to cause damage with that melee, like a shard of arcane energy. Interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could absolutely do that. Or you could just straight up replace the damage type of whatever it is it's supposed to be, right?
I like the idea of, like, literally holding condensed magic, whether, it's something that's like, oh, this is fire literally from the elemental plane of fire, and you've got an object that's kind of like solidified and frozen, and it's like, this is warm to the touch because it's literal, condensed fire, or same thing with any of the other planes, and it powers your spells like an arcane focus, but it adds or supplants the damage type if you so choose.
Well, you could also go like Thundar the Barbarian and have
the energy sword.
The energy sword. Was it a sun sword? Was it solar sword, sun sword? Yeah, it was a sun sword. They totally Wizards of the Coast totally ripped off Thundar the Barbarian.
I thought Thundar was pretty cool back in the day.
It's not. It's terrible. If you go back and watch it.
No. But the concept of what it is, I think would be a fun RPG if you were to play in that world. I don't think I would survive, trying to watch. It would just, the nostalgia and the crappy cartoon show would break each other.
I think it came on like Boomerang or something, Cartoon Network or something, and my kids were there, and like I made them watch like 5 minutes, and they're like begging for mercy. And I have to agree, it was pretty bad.
So your brother is saying nobody gets that reference. I'm guessing I guess he's saying nobody means to Thundar.
Could very well be true.
Somebody's got to have watched it.
I think some of our followers are older ladies and gents that might remember it. Or maybe they just had cruel parents like me that made them watch it.
Derek says it was the discounted lightsaber.
It was kind of a discounted lightsaber. But, I mean, that's an easy way of creating, doing that. I mean, look at Hank's bow from the D&D cartoon, right? It's really just, you could do the same thing with that and just have it do the regular damage. It's just lightning instead of whatever. I mean, his was way bumpier than that, but...
Right. And there are people who are, commenting on Thundar, so I'm going to say people understood.
People know! Let's see. Fraginator Man is weighing in. He's got his next character ready for the RPG crate. Are you guys making new characters?
This Friday is the season finale, 11th level game. I got the cards right here that apparently catching on way too much light.
Well, that's good. So now Fraginator can't, pause it and see what's
Get
going
it.
on.
Well, I don't think I fanned out anything with any real details on it. So, but yeah, we're gonna wrap that up, and then we're gonna start campaign 4. Episode 1 sometime next month. So that'll be cool.
So apparently, his next character is gonna be a retired city watch guard that picked up cobbling to make ends meet during the retirement. So you need to start thinking about ways for him to use those cobbler tools.
All right, and we're not talking about peach cobbler. We're talking about shoemaking, right?
We are talking about making the shoes.
Well, sometimes you're gonna need to fix those shoes.
Does it mention Herculoids in the comments? Let's go back old school. Come on, man. Basically, you can't go wrong with a Triceratops that has a force cannon for a horn. That's where it's at. Who knows, man? After my D&D game wraps up, maybe we'll just play something weird.
Well, it's not too far out.
Maybe try a serious Gamma World campaign. I don't know if I would want to use the 4E Gamma World, though. Engine.
But Anthony would be happy.
No, I definitely don't want to do it.
Anthony, are you in the chat by any chance?
So, I mean, that could be fun.
I mean, you could use any of the generic systems. I mean, Masterminds, Fate, Cipher System, all of those would work out pretty well with Gamma World.
Yeah,
Savage Worlds, which I'm not familiar with, so that would be a cool thing to learn.
Although Fate would be easy.
Fate would be easy. I still don't have as much exposure to Core as I would like. So.
Me neither. I played one game of it, and I'm pretty sure I told the GM, it was David Sims. It's like, hey, I want to play this type of character, and he gave me a character sheet. So, so that made it kind of easy.
I've got a handful of games of Fate Accelerated, and then one of Fate Core, and I don't remember any of it. And the fact that I've got all of these Dresden File RPGs based off of Fate and not Fate Accelerated, I want someone to, just teach me Fate Core so that I can, understand the books better.
Oh, you don't have the Dresden Fate Accelerated?
No, I might. I do. I have the Accelerated, but that's one book of Accelerated and 3 books of Core.
So there's a weird mechanic in, well, not weird, but interesting mechanic in the. I read half the book for Dresden Files. I also have it here somewheres, and I just stopped. I don't know why. I just did. It actually reads better than most of the RPG books that I've read. Mm-hmm. But part of it is you building your city, right. and I use the term city loosely. It's just the area where you're going to be adventuring. You kind of build that, as a group together, mm-hmm. which is kind of a cool mechanic.
So I got to speak to Derek because he brings up heartfelt memories. Speaking of old cartoons, I'm gonna have to break out the old Pirates of Darkwater. That was a spectacular show.
It was. The animation was really ahead of its time.
I think so as well. And that's another game that I don't remember much beyond how much I loved that show. I couldn't tell you much about it.
Monkey birds.
The Darkwater. But I thought that was a spectacular world that they created with that show, and I don't know how many people appreciated how rich they created. I think there was more to that world than what the average viewer saw.
Ryan says he's down for rekindling Dresden Files game. Or even just urban fantasy in general. I mean, the Carnival Row just came out on Amazon Prime, which was really cool. There's a Cipher system game that Nerdist put together for that's free to download, is another thing to check out. Michael, I haven't heard of Darkwater, and I haven't heard that in forever. Yeah, it's oldie but goodie. That's for sure. What was that, 90s?
Early 90s, I would say.
Yeah. Recalling things from the early 90s, late 80s is a little rough. Just saying. But yeah, so like that's also a system we could look at. I just suspect that Anthony is going to hate that system.
What, Fate?
Cypher system.
Oh, Cypher. Well, I mean, we can toss some ideas around. I don't know. I think we're not getting together till end of November.
Yes.
That's not going to interfere with PAX Unplugged, is it?
No, it's the weekend before.
Okay.
Because the 30th being a Saturday.
That's true.
And PAX Unplugged is like the 5th or something like that.
Okay. All right. I just know that almost all of us, if not all of us, are going to be at PAX Unplugged. So. Yeah,
I don't think that date would have been thrown up there. So it should be fine. Which, speaking of, if you happen to go to PAX Unplugged, you can come hang out with us. We'll be there doing nerdy things. Although, I did not.
Speaking of nerdy things, we're getting down to our last few minutes, and we haven't talked about all the nerdy things that are down in the description below. So, if you so choose, after we wrap up here, you can look down at the description and go access any of the awesome articles that we've put up on the website. For last week, any of last week's videos that you want to rewatch, or if there's something you might have missed, that's a good way to go look at it. All of our cool social media and what have you. The link to join us over on Patreon to get the enhanced gaming sets and tool sets that's going to be this month's our next month's Patreon rewards, or even RPG related Kickstarters that fancy my eye as I go and search for them. So go ahead and take a look. What you were saying?
I was just saying we're gonna be there, PAX Unplugged, doing nerdy stuff. Come hang out with us. I never submitted any panels or anything. I was thinking about doing it and just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was Sunday.
And if you do come out to PAX Unplugged and you hang out with us and you happen to run into myself or Dave, I've got Nerdarchy D6s to give out. We've got some Nerdarchy stickers to give out.
Are you bribing them? I feel like you're bribing them. Do you guys feel bribed?
It's not about bribing. It's extra incentive beyond getting to kind of shake hands and and whatever have you.
Beat the Nerdarchist like pinatas until prizes fall out.
Please don't beat the Nerdarchist.
You can beat Ted. He's wearing armor.
I don't think the armor that I wear to conventions really counts as armor, dude.
There's only one way to figure this out. It's beating you like a pinata until prizes fall out.
I don't believe blood and teeth count as prizes.
I will also be in Wisconsin the end of October for Gamehole Con. And I'll be doing some stuff over there. I don't know what yet, but I'm definitely going to be doing stuff over there. I will probably also be bringing stickers and dice with me. How many dice do we got?
I bought like 100, 150, something like that.
Ooh.
There's the whole bag over there. So
what do I get if I give you back a Nerdarchy D6? Another Nerdarchy D6. If you give us one, you get two. They multiply like gremlins in a bathtub.
Don't say that, because then people will just keep, and then you'll have to give one person all the dice.
Woo! Give them all out. It's like It's like wait a minute! It's not like Halloween when you get to the end, you're like that one last kid shows up and you just dump everything in their bag.
I don't think that's the incentive. Is supposed to get spread out amongst the community. One person having 100 D6.
It's not like when you're paid to hand out flyers, you just walk past the trash can and dump them all in and be like, yep, totally gave out all the flyers.
That's very dishonest, sir.
I consider it chaotic neutral.
If you're paid to hand out the flyers, you're kind of supposed to hand out the flyers. As having done that many times as a kid, not nice to just toss them in the trash can.
Oh my god. This is probably why you got trashed in a garbage can. Son of a bitch. But anyway, we'll be at places, hanging out and doing things. And also keep your eyes peeled, because we're going to be making announcements about Nerdarchy the convention, and you can come hang out with us.
You can check out the Dawnbringers game, as I mentioned earlier. It's on Thursday night. I'll be playing over on Mini Terrain Domain, and you can tune in right here on Nerdarchy on Friday night for the season finale, campaign 3 for RPG Crate game. And you want to see whether or not the players survive as they're chasing the ancient Zaratan, who's going to destroy Covington Cove.
Ooh. Digital Fear, you can totally get an autograph if you find us, and you can still get stickers and dice. Cause
we will sign D&D books. It always feels weird when people ask us to do so.
Soon we'll be able to sign our own.
Yeah, when we're signing our own, that it's totally legit, and there's no issues. But
What? Oh, I was going to ask you a question. Oh, do we have dwarves too?
We are out of dwarves.
Son of. Are there more dwarves? Can we get more dwarves?
We are gonna. I'm trying to get more dwarves. I actually have a laundry list of things to talk about with Arknight. Get the Kickstarter stuff wrapped up. Get some some more dwarves and a couple other odds and ends that are on the list. So.
So yes, in the near future we may have dwarves, dice, and stickers. Mahahaha. I'm kind of addicted to stickers. I kind of want to get more stickers now because they're kind of cheap too. We will sticker all the things. Just not at Gen Con because we can get in trouble, I think.
Yeah, you're not supposed to put the stickers up places, but handing them out, it's cool.
Yeah. So sticker responsibly, folks. Sticker responsibly.
They're great for your laptop, or your phone or
your children.
Backpack. I don't recommend stickering things that are alive because they will eventually, just kind of fall off and go away.
I saw a great sticker that I think it was a meme, but I think PETA was giving out these stickers or putting these stickers on people, and it was like it says, "I'm an asshole, I wear fur." So someone took it home and put it on their cat. And oddly enough, for a cat, that seems very appropriate.
Yeah, that's pretty darn comical.
Well, Ted, I think it is that time where we end the thing.
It's past that time, so thank you all for hanging out with us. It's a lot of fun.
We'll be back next week.
Indeed.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.